Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing good. So today we'll be making this corset bodycon dress. It's a bustier and it has a corset effect, then it's a bodycon. So we are going to be drafting the down part, that is the skirt part. The first thing to do is to remove your half length and get your full length. I use 58 as my full length. Then from the waistline I went down by 8 inches for my hip location. Then the waistline also I went down by 20 inches for my knee length. You need it also, so I'll just extend the lines very well for you to see. Sorry that I'm using pen for this. So the next thing to do now, once you have your hip location, your knee location and your full length, the next thing is to take your hip measurement. My hip is 44, that is 11. So because this fabric is stretchy, I use 10.5. then my waist is 8 inches, I use 7.5. so instead of adding allowance, I reduced it. So on my knee length I took my hip down, then I minus half also, that is I got 10 on my knee length. Then on my full length I used 9.5. If you use this method, you notice that it will come out really penciled and straight. So that is the method that I used. On my knee length I went out by half inch. Like, take your full hip measurement, then you minus half inch, so you just connect the dots. So you can reduce up to 1 inch on your on the full length line instead of half inch, just to get that pencil effect. This fabric is stretchy, so that was what I did. So I'll now connect the curves very well. So if you're looking at it now, you notice that the pencil is very, very straight. Like, if you use this method on your pencil sketch, it will come out really straight and fitted. So I'll just cut it out, then we'll work on the slash method. We are going to be using slash and spread method for this dress. So the next thing now is to determine where you want your your lining to stop. The fabric I use is a mesh fabric. It's stretchy and it's transparent, so you just have to use lining, and I'll just advise you to use maybe something similar. So I will determine my lining length. I use 18 inches for my length. That is where I want my lining to be, and that is where the slash and spread is going to start. So on that 18 inches line, I'm going to be spacing my slash and spread. So I'm just going to give it 2 inches space. So I'm just marking 2 inches, and if I mark it, I'll extend the lines. So that is just it, 2 inches. From that your knee length, from that your lining length, you come up by 2 inches. You start marking out 2 inches for your dart. So that was what I did it up to the waist part. So the next thing now is to start slashing it. I wanted to slash it. There's a way I wanted to slash it, but it didn't really come out that way. So I had to slash through. Please, my fabric is unfolded. I almost made a mistake. That is the center front. You don't have to slash through the center front. You have to slash through from the hip part. So it's just the same thing as you're slashing through, because I never wanted to slash through it. So you just have to separate them, number them. Please number them from 1 to the length that is stopped. That is 1 to that 9 inches that is stopped. So you just have to number them. Please, you just have to number them so that it will indicate start from the waist down to the point that is stopped. So this is it. Sorry that I didn't really get those parts, but you just have to number them from the waist down. So I've gone ahead to number them. Then I got a fresh paper and I started attaching it with 2 inches space, or if you have enough fabric you can use 3 inch I was using 2 inches, but I later had to reduce it because I only have 2 yards of fabric. So I later reduced it to 1.5 inches. So if you like the way the one I made is, you can just use that 1.5. But if you want it fuller, you can use 2.5 to 2 inches. So you just start placing them. Remember that you number them. You are going to place them according to the numbers. So this is it. Once you are done placing them, this is what you have. Then you just have to draw it very well. So I measure to see the length that I have. So I'm just going to outline the lines very well, the waist curves and everything, so that it will still give me a nice curve. So once you are done to it, that you're just going to cut it out. So the next thing, once you're happy, the next thing is to cut the upper part. So this is the down part. Here is the upper part. Like the one I made, I had to recut the upper part for you guys, not to make me, I don't know, the way mine came out is still okay, but there are some corrections that I want to make. So you will get your chest line, your bust bone, your underbust, and your half length. That is what you will be needing here. So the first line is my chest line, the second one is my bust point, the third is my underbust and half length. So the next thing is to get your bust point to bust point. That is your nipple to nipple. My nipple to nipple is 8. I just cut, divide by 2 is 4. I didn't add any allowance like the half inch. So the next thing is to, on your half length, you go in by half inch and go out by half inch. Also do it on your under bust length. Go in by half inch and go out by half inch. So on your bust point line, I went down by half inch. Then I connected the dart, just the normal way you connect your dart. So you connect it to your bust point. Also do the same thing here. So this is what you should have. You should have something like this. So the next thing is to determine where you want your cup to sit. I don't want mine to sit directly on my underbust, because the first one I did, I took it exactly on the underbust line, but now I don't want to do that. So from the underbust line, you can go up by 1 inch. From the underbust line, go up by 1 inch. So at the side of the center front of this your pattern, go in by half inch, the place that I outlined. So after going in by half inch, on your chest line, go up by half inch. Then under your chest line again, go down by 1 inch, because of the center, because of that center stuff that it has. I don't know. So because of that center corset line, so you just have to do it. So from that your 1 inch at your underbust line, you are going to connect it to that 1 inch you went down at your chest line. So you go up by, so you are going to connect from your underbust, from that 1 inch underbust to that 1 inch line that you went down with. So this my cup is not really giving, the ruler didn't give me the cup that I wanted, so I will use my hand to curve it. I'll use my free hand to curve it, but that's the way you should have. So the next thing is to take your bust circumference. Mine is 9.75, but I'm going to remove half inch because the fabric is stretchy. Then I'll take my waist measurement, then I'll also remove half inch then remember to replace your darts, please. That 1 inch that, remember to replace it. So the second curve that is going to the armhole part. So at the underbust, you are going to draw a second line that is going to connect to the armhole part, just like the way I'm doing. Sorry that I didn't really show that part. So your second line is going to your underbust. So the line, my curve is not really what I want, so I'm just going to use my free hand because I don't want it to come out so deep. Like the ruler is giving me this deep curve that I don't want, so I'm just going to use my pen to rule out the curve that I'm going to take. I'll also do the same thing to the one that is coming to the center front. So this is the way you should have your corset is ready. This is ready. So the next thing is to take your neck width. I use 4 inches neck width. So I'm going to connect from that 4 inches down to that 1 inch that I went down with, not to the half inch that I went up with. At your chest line, remember that I went down by 1 inch and I went up by half inch. So I'm going to connect this my neckline to that 1 inch. This will it will expose your cleavage though, but that is the style. So I'll connect my shoulder slope, but please make sure you add an allowance, sewing allowance to your shoulder, because mine came out a bit tight. Assuming the fabric is not stretchy, it will really be tight on me. So this is what you should have. Don't take your cup directly on your underbust line. It will not really give you that look. So the best thing is to just go up by 1 inch. 1 inch is okay, or 3/4 of an inch, but 1 inch is okay, so that it will not. And you are meant to use a stretchy fabric. If you use a fabric that is not stretchy, to not really show. So please, this is what I did, and the cup is coming out already. Everything is out already, and this is the center front, the line that will have opening at the center front. So that is it. So this is what you will have. Just watch what I'm doing, and just once you follow this step, your dress will come out really well. So the next thing is to cut it. Please watch how I'm cutting it. So we are going to cut this way, then cut that 1 inch half inch part, separate it. That is the part for your center front. The next thing, from that 1 inch, I'm going to cut the neck. Then I'll remove this that. Please watch how I'm cutting it. So you cut the armhole, then stop, then cut again. So this is how you should cut it. So I'm going to remove the dart. You have to open the dart and close it back. You have to remember that we are going to slash and spread this part, the upper part. So you have to close up the dart. I used my gum to hold it in place to close up the dart. You just have to close it back. I didn't really do it in with the one I made for myself, but the the best how to achieve it best is for you to close up the dart, so that you have this cup effect, so that it will not come out looking so flat. So you just have to do it, and this is it. It's not unfold, so that's why I cannot open it, but this is it. So once you are cutting this front, this, just have to cut the center front unfold. You don't need to add any allowance to the center front, but you can add allowance to the cup part, like the part that will take contain the cup. Just add half inch allowance to everything that you're cutting out there. So we're going to learn how to slash and spread the cup part. So this is it. This is how you're going. This is the center front. You just have to add a half inch allowance through. You just have to add half inch allowance, and this is the side. Also add half inch allowance to the side and everything. So I place it on another paper just to add half inches allowance. Then that is just what you need. Add it to round it. So when I'm cutting it on my fabric, I'll just cut it once without adding any allowance again. So after that, once you are done doing that, cut it out. Please, the center part should be on fold. But I didn't really make it on fold, but there's no need separating them. So you just have to cut it on fold. That is the center part. That is the center of the corset or the bustier. So the next thing now is to slash the cup part. Please remember to cut the lining before slashing it. Remember to cut the lining. Use the pattern. This is the pattern that I made for the dress that for the first one that I made. So you don't, I closed my dart in this one, so just close your dart. But before cutting out this before slashing it, please make sure to cut the lining should be exactly the same. You don't need to slash the lining is unslashed. Yeah, so you don't need to slash the lining. Just once you cut the lining, you place it aside, then start working on the main fabric. So the next thing now is to determine, you can cut this through because the shoulder part is also slashed. So I'm giving it 1 inch or half inch space, then I'll just outline it. I didn't cut this through when I was making this video, but I'm saying that you should cut it through because the shoulder part has a slash. Mine, the one that I made, didn't have a slash. So I'll just say you should make it to have a slash when you're cutting yours, so you can just cut this through like the way you did with this down part, that is the skirt part. So I'm going to slash this. If you slash it, cut it through, cut it through. So once you have it slashed, you are going to get another fresh paper, fresh pattern paper. So it's because I don't have enough pattern paper, so I was just trying to manage it. Please, you don't need to put it half, you just have to get a big pattern paper. I spaced this by half in 1.5 inches, but you don't have to space it by 1.5. I can use 1 inch, or same you can also use 1.5 inches. I think 1.5 inches is okay if you want it really full. So please, I say that you are going to slash this through, you are going to slash it through. The upper part should be like half inch space, that is the shoulder part should be like half inch, or 1 inch space. No, half inch is okay. So please don't mind the way I place this. You need to slash it through. So once you have it, outline the lines, make sure they are equal, then you cut it out. It's going to come out round like the way I did. Please, I didn't slash my own shoulder when I was making this pattern, but for this new one I'm going to advise you to slash it. So the next thing now is to cut the skirt part. I have 2 yards of mesh fabric. So if you're making this, please use 3 yards or 2.5 yards. I really manage this, like I manage it. That's why I managed it. That's why I was able to use that 2 yards. So instead of you to struggle to manage fabric and all that, just get 3 yards of mesh. You need a very light fabric for the style. You need a very light stretchy fabric, and remember that you're not going to add any allowance again to this because it's stretchy. It came as just after everything, you can just join it with half inch. So once you have this, you can just cut it through, you can just cut it out. I use 2 yards, but if you are making this, just use 3 yards unless you know how to minimize fabric. So here I was done cutting the front, and I just place it to cut exactly the same thing for the back. Just the only difference will be the zipper allowance. Remember that you bring a 1 inch zipper allowance. So the place I was trying to notch is the place that that I said that my lining was going to stop. And remember that before slitting it, before cutting, splashing it, remember that you have to cut your short lining. Sorry that I don't know, I didn't really show that part. So the next thing is to join your zipper allowance, then get the front and the back, place them together equally, make sure they are equal. Then notch the place that your lining is going to stop, because that is where your drape is going to start from, and there's where it's going to stop. So once you have it, remember that it has a side slit. So from that point now, I'll go in by half inch or 1 inch, then I'm going to connect it with a little curve. This fabric folds a lot, like it's very difficult to work on. So the best thing for you, if you're working with this kind of mesh fabric and if you have them folding, the best thing is for you to iron it out. Iron those folds, it will be like a bit easier for you to work on. So once you are working with this kind of fabric that folds, just make sure to splash enough water on it and iron it out. So this is how we are going to cut the slit. So I'll make another video. I'll make another video on how you can join it.